of Sri Shankaracharya, who is the Acharya of the impersonalists. So now we're on. So I'll summarize very quickly. Today's the disappearance day of Sri Madhvacarya, the Sampradaya Guru of our entire Brahma Madhvacarya Sampradaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Supreme Swayam Bhagavan himself, decided to appear in his Sampradaya. And it was Mahaprabhu who instructed Madhvacharya how and what to preach in this Sampradaya called Shuddha Dvaitavad, which is God is definitely great and we're definitely infinitesimal. And we're not God, we're completely different from Him. Not completely, but in most ways. He's big and we're small. And he helped one salt merchant to get his boat unstuck. And so the salt merchant, in gratitude, gave him a big, very, very heavy, mighty piece of chandan. And he saw inside, the chandan broke, and there was a beautiful deity of Dadi Mantan Krishna who carries the churning rod. And he carried him all the way, 7 miles, to his temple in Udupi. And Murti is soon going to disappear. Okay. All the Vaishnava Acharyas, like Ramanuja, Vishnu, Swami, and Nimbaditya, have contributed to the defeat of the theory of Sri Sankaracharya. It's so amazing, because Krishna is the cause of all causes and all that is. So it was he who ordered Lord Shiva to become Shankaracharya. Srila Madhvacharya did this especially with his philosophy of Shuddha Dvaitavad, or Beda Vad. Beda means difference, so it's a stress on the dualism. The Srutis, Vedic scriptures, have described both principles, that the individual soul is the same as God and different, but in most cases, the prominence is given to the difference. In his writings, he has described 5 differences. Does anybody know what they are? There's an eternal difference between God and a jiva, God and Maya. Like sometimes we say, Krishna's arrangement that I was in Maya. It's Maya's arrangement. And they are different. But of course, what does Krishna say in the Gita? This material energy is working under my direction, producing all moving and non-moving beings. And by its rule, everything is created and annihilated again and again. Maya Dakshina Prakrite Shuyate Chachirachanam He Tunani Nikonteya Jagat Vipari Vartate. So, all the bona fide sampradayas are Vaishnava sampradayas. This means there is a similarity in their goal and their object of worship. They all worship Vishnu Tattva. The followers of Ramanujacharya worship Lakshmi Narayan. And in the Madhvacharya Sampradaya, they worship Bala Krishna. He established 4 main mutts. In each of these mutts, there are 2 sannyasis. So in total, there are 8 main sannyasis. These 8 sannyasi acharyas practice worshipping Krishna. It's strange, but even though his main deity was Bala Gopal, these sannyasis worship Krishna in the mood of the gopis. But this worship was not given to the general population. To them, it was Bala Gopal. Thousands and thousands of people line up to see this Dadi Mantan Gopal at any moment of the day. Vasanti and I went there a couple of years ago, and we had to wait hours to get in because there was such a long line. And then everybody only gets a moment of darshan. and they have to move on for the next person. Because he's in this little, the temple is enormous, but within that temple, there's a little shrine where Dadimanta and Gopal is. And so you have to kind of look in. Well, it's very small. What?
Yeah, you like, so mystical. It's like dark when you get in. And then you come around the corner and then there he is. And it's like,
So brilliant and opulent. He's worshipped in opulence. He's like studded head to toe in jewels and gold.
Wasn't that he turned around?
What?
Was it that he turned around for one of his bhaktas because they did not let him in the temple? The Thakurji turned around and he broke the wall into the darshan to his bhakta. And then they built a whole temple around it.
So that what?
And they built the whole temple on the other side. So now you can look through the small hall. That's just a long time ago, but that's how clarifying.
If you get the details, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Indo knows. Was it like this?
Yeah, I know that.
Sriman Mahaprabhu saw some lacking in the conception of Madhvacarya, and he adjusted that. In their commentaries to Mahaprabhu's discussion with the Tattvavadis, the followers of Madhvacarya in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Kavi Karnapur and Sri Baladev Bhusan Prabhu have both declared that our Sampradaya Acharya is Srila Madhvacarya. In our Guru Parampara, we see that Madhavendra Puri took Diksha from Lakshmipati Tirtha, who is a disciple of Madhvacarya. Although we are especially related with Madhavendra Puri, Sri Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu are related with Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri is related with Madhvacarya. So we have that relation.
He was a direct disciple?
Madhavendra Puri is a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha, and he's a disciple, to my understanding.
I thought there was like a whole...
There's some gap?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, it's quite a long...
Quite a long gap? Oh, yeah, the song that we just sang, he's in the descendant line.
Right.
Thank you for that correction of Madhvacharya. Some people do not accept the position of Madhvacharya, that he is our Sampradaya Acharya. Some Sahajis and caste Goswamis cannot reconcile this. They say that Srila Baladev Vijayabhusan was not in our Sampradaya because he was in the Madhva Sampradaya. We're going to read the endnotes about that. Very interesting. But actually, our Sampradaya is related to Madhvacharya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has therefore said very strongly that those who do not accept Baladev Vijayabhusan Prabhu or Srila Madhvacharya are demons. And they have no relation to Srila Bhakti. They are Kali Chela, or disciples of Kali. Kali means this present age of quarrel and hypocrisy. See, we must understand all these tattvas, these established philosophical truths. It's interesting because in the Jaiva Dharma of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which Srila Gurudev very often quotes, the teaching there is that don't try to understand this with your own mind, because the mind cannot, and the senses cannot reach Chidvastu, or transcendental substance. Whatever we try to explain about that realm, we're going to be using our material minds, our material tongues, and our material language. So we're just imprisoned within this Brahmanda, this universe. At the same time, Gurudev says often, you have to understand this Siddhanta, either now or millions of years from now. Otherwise, you'll never get Ras. You can never understand Ras without understanding that. So therefore, we understand as much as we can by the Sukritis and Sanskars we have, and we pray that they will give us the understanding, just like we did at the beginning of the class. We prayed, O Oh Srila Gurudev, you're not a piece of paper. Oh Prabhu, you're not a piece of paper. You're Gurudev yourself. And here we are sitting with you in October of 2005 in Mathura, and you're telling us the glories of Madhvacarya. Please shower your mercy on us so that we can become free from doubt and so that we can realize whatever you're telling us. So if we can understand this, then we can understand who Madhvacarya is and what is our relationship with him. We are Vaishnava sannyasis, meaning he's talking about himself. We have the name Bhakti Vedanta. I want that especially those who are in the renounced order, the sannyasis, should learn and remember at least some of the sutras of Vedanta. Remember that Madhvacarya wrote 2 commentaries on Vedanta Sutra. And the only way that Baladev Vijayabhusan Prabhu, his teachings about Radharani to the Ramanujacharya pundits there in Jaipur, he gave so much evidence that Radharani belongs on the altar with Govinda, but they said, oh, okay, even though you said such good things, you don't have a commentary on Vedanta Sutra, so we can't accept your sampradaya as bona fide. So that very night, he went to Govinda's temple, the deity of Govinda in Jaipur. And what happened? Govinda said, you write, I'll dictate. So the next day he had one. So Gurudev's saying that's why Haladar Prabhu has Vedanta Sutra and Govinda Bhasya in his room.
Yes.
So we should learn.
Syamarani.
Huh?
I got it from you.
Yeah.
Who did the translation?
Of his, I don't know, but I have a commentary on my computer by Banuswami, which is pretty nice.
I had one I still got it by Yati Maharaj, I think.
Oh, Yati Maharaj, that's who he has too.
Yeah, I have read parts of it, but it's not such an emphasized book, so I haven't.
Exactly.
It's not like on my list of
top priority. Once, I remember in Mathura, Gurudev called on one of his Western sannyasis to delineate the first 10 sutras of Brahma Sutra, beginning Atato Brahma Jigyasa, and he couldn't. So then he called Bhaktivedanta Tirtha Maharaj, his Indian sannyasi, and he did it. And then he said to the Western sannyasis, you must also learn how to do this. But there's like a sutra means something that's so compressed that it's very hard to understand. Like one of the sutras, 441, it says, he is liberated, but he is liberated because of the declaration. That was the whole thing. And so in the Govinda Bhasya, Srila Baladev Vijayabhusan, Bhasya is like a purport. He says that what the author is saying, author means Vyasadeva, what the author is saying here is that when we get liberated, we're just going to realize that Siddha Swarup that we already have the seed of in our heart. It's not that we get the Swarup from outside, but we already have a seed of it. Something is there, the potency for that particular Siddha Deha is there. And in the world of eternity, in our constitutional form, it's inherent. So when we realize it, we're getting that same form that we have the seed of. We're not getting something new. So in other words, attains. He attained his spiritual form, means manifest. It manifested. So he got that out of that little thing.
Does that mean that there are different types of jivas then?
I don't get the question.
Are there different types of jivas? I mean, like,
what do you mean types?
The seed, you're saying the seed is there inherent within. I'm just trying to understand, like, does that mean that, like, they're all those jivas, there are different types of jivas, or is the jiva the same within all?
The principle of jiva is the same. You're American, I'm American. You're human, I'm human. You're trying to be a devotee, I'm not trying that hard to be devotee. So there's a lot of things that are the same. So in the category of jiva, they're one. But by ras, they all have a specific individual relationship with Krishna that was given at the time of his quote-unquote creation. So Gurudev said in one lecture, there are 5 rasas. So every jiva has the seed of one of these 5 rasas. Otherwise, he wouldn't be alive. That has to be there. And then he said, actually, there aren't only 5 rasas. They're unlimited. There's millions of kinds of sakis, millions of kinds of sakas, millions of kinds of mothers. There's all different kinds of everything. Each jiva has the seed or potency, or it's called lying dormant, in at all times. Even those bacteria that are in the room right now, inconceivable. Does that answer the question?
Kind of, yeah.
Not fully?
I just don't understand, like, what, like, so it's like upadhis, like the designations, right?
Upadhis is a material designation.
Because you were saying, like, I'm a man or a woman, or I'm the human, you're human.
I'm speaking of us, yeah.
So is
Similarly,
that like I'm a soul, it's just like, is it material? I mean, in a sense to
No.
say it like this.
This is a material example. You and I are both humans by category. You and I are both Americans by category. Yet there's something specific. You have a male body, I have a female body. You're from what state? Illinois, and I'm from New York. So we have differences, specialities also. So every jiva is by nature Tatastha Shakti. Every jiva is by nature Satchidananda. But every jiva is transcendental to the body and has a spiritual nature. But every jiva has an individual, unique relationship with Krishna. If these bodies, have so much individuality, you play the drum, he's a pujari, what do you do in your body? Not much.
He does everything behind. I just
pretend. So everybody has an individual speciality in the material world, which is just pus, blood, stool, and urine. Prabhupada calls it the clay covering the spiritual body. So imagine how much individuality the soul has by nature. But we've never experienced it, because since the beginning of time, or time without beginning, we've been transmigrating. Does that answer it better?
Kind of. I mean,
what are we missing?
I guess it's such a, for me, the subject is very complex.
It's very complex indeed.
But it's like if then we have this individual inclination, then and I'm not arguing or anything. I'm just trying to understand. Then does that mean we?
The material.
I mean, I know we didn't come from the spiritual world. We come from Mahavishnu, right?
We also didn't come from Mahavishnu. That's a placeholder. We say that because that's where we're at now. That's what we can understand. We only want to accept what's in, Gurudev said, what's in Jaiva Dharma. But actually we're eternal. We didn't come from anywhere. And Gurudev said, if Narada were to see you now, he'd see you serving Krishna. Because he's saying from that Nitya Vartaman Kal, or the eternal present time.
Right. I think I'm just too covered over to, and maybe I increase my bhajan and my devotion increase, it'll become more clear for me.
Yeah.
I'm always going to apply material
exactly.
logic to understand
exactly.
it. It won't be clear to me until I've matured more spiritually.
So therefore, I think you can understand, but you're just showing how we conditioned souls are.
Yeah.
So, material individuality and propensities and talents have absolutely nothing to do with our souls. Right. And yes, you're right. So therefore, in the Jaiva Dharma, Raghunath Das Babaji told Brajanath, therefore, teachings will be revealed to you.
Right.
Can I ask one?
Chit Samadhi, right? I remember.
Yeah.
Mayika explanations. They're not. They're just to give some idea, but it's not
Like-
perfect.
Yeah, like the moon on the branch. You know that one? The child, it's called Sakachandra Nyai, the logic of the moon on the branch. The son says to the mother, maybe one of your daughters asked your wife, Mom, where's the moon? And then she'll say, oh, look, dear, it's you see that tree over there? It's sitting right on the branch of the moon. Just to give some really vague idea. Actually, the moon is further away than the sun. Okay, so, yeah.
You said Madhvacarya wrote 2 commentaries on Vedanta Sutra.
Brihad Bhasya and Anubhasya.
Are they anyway connected to this Govinda Pasya? You were making some link, but maybe not.
I don't really know. I only know the names.
Okay.
Except I do know that he stresses Shuddha Dvaita, the difference. Whereas in Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, which Baladev Vijayabhusan is in the line of, there's the inconceivable simultaneous oneness and difference. So there's some slight variances. So we should learn and remember at least some of those sutras of Vedanta. They should remember at least 25 verses, together with their meanings and explanations. Explanations means from Govinda Bhasya. If you'll remember at least 10 sutras of the Brahma Sutra, from the first one up to the 10th, all philosophy will come. And you have it, he said.
So I should spend some time and try to read it.
Yeah, or I can send you, by email, I can send you the one I have because it was written by a person, a disciple of our Prabhupada, who's very much in our line and a fluent speaker of English.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about Yati.
Yeah,
Yati
just
Maharaj.
that when an Indian does it, when an Indian does it, it's not going to be clear English. That's the only thing.
I mean, it's translated in English. It's all in English.
By him.
I don't know who translated it.
Yeah,
picked
he
it up
did.
in Bhaktisiddhanta Samadhi years ago.
Well, that's the book that we have.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to read because there is no index, there is no table of contents.
Oh, okay.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, it's Indian.
Okay. Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's because I think this one I have. It's like a.
You have one?
Next time I'll bring it. I don't know,
Yes,
maybe
you can
it's
share
the
it with him
I
and
don't know.
see.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you want, I can send you mine.
Okay, that would be nice too.
Or if you could send me your address.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, so yeah. In Srimad Bhagavatam's 4 original verses, which is 2nd canto, 9th chapter, I forget which verses. The entire Bhagavatam is present, and the Bhagavatam is the natural commentary on Vedanta Sutra by the same author. And this is also the case with the Brahma Sutras. So just like 4 nutshell verses of the Bhagavatam contain the whole Bhagavatam, so the first 10 verses of Brahma Sutra contain the whole thing. He said, you should surely remember them, otherwise you will be defeated by Mayavad philosophers, or our Mayavad mind. So now here comes the endnotes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Udupi, the place of Madhvacarya, where the philosophers known as Tattvavadis resided. Because some people were saying that Mahaprabhu was against the teachings of Madhvacarya, but that's not the case. He was against the teachings of the so-called followers of Madhvacarya, who call themselves the Tattvavadis. So, there he saw the deity of Krishna and became mad with ecstasy. Purport. Sripad Madhvacharya took his birth in Udupi, which is situated in the South Kannada district of South India, just west of Sahyadri. This is the chief city of South Kannada province, near Mangalore, which is situated south of Udupi. In the city of Udupi is a place called Pajak Kshetra, where he took his birth in a Brahmana dynasty in the year 1119. In his childhood, he was known as Vasudev, and there are some wonderful stories surrounding him. It is said that once, when his father had piled up many debts, Madhvacarya converted, he was only a kid, like a few years old, converted tamarind seeds into coins to pay him off. It was like a ton of coins from the tamarind seeds. That was when he was 5 years old. He was offered the sacred thread. A demon named Maniman lived near his abode in the form of a snake, and at the age of 5, Madhvacharya killed that snake with the toe of his left foot.
Did he convert those seeds with the mystic power?
He has mystic power.
Yeah.
I have one of those seeds that probably Krishna brought back for me, gave me when he went.
Oh,
He
nice.
said, that's why I'm going to keep it with me when I'm traveling for work.
Oh, good.
It'll bring abundance and help out.
Shri Gauranitai ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki jai. When his mother was very much disturbed, he would appear before her, no matter where he was. He would take one jump and appear before her. He was a great scholar even in childhood, and although his father did not agree, he accepted sannyas at the age of 12. Upon receiving a sannyas from Achyuta Preksha, he received the name Purna Pragya Tirtha. After traveling all over India, he finally discussed scriptures with Vijaya Sankara, the exalted leader of the Sringeri Math. There that he met Vyasadeva, and he explained his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita before him. Thus, he became a great scholar by studying before Vyasadeva. Is that what you're going to speak about?
I don't know. If you have it written, I'd rather hear from what you have.
Murti was saying that, Murti Prabhu was saying that Madhvacharya did a commentary on Mahabharata.
I remember hearing that he didn't write a commentary on the part where Brahma becomes bewildered because.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because that was the only part. No, that was in Bhagavatam. No, I'm sorry.
He didn't write a commentary on Brahma Bimohan Lila in the Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam, right.
By the time he came to Ananda Math from Bhadarak Ashram, Madhvacharya had finished his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. His companion, Satya Tirtha, wrote down the entire commentary. When Madhvacharya returned from Bhadarak Ashram, he went to the Ganjama, which is on the bank of the river Godavari. There he met two learned scholars named Sobhanabhat and Swami Shastri. Later, these scholars became known in the disciplic succession of Madhvacharya, and you know them from the song too. That is Padmanabha Tirtha and Narahari Tirtha. Right, so Lakshmipati is coming, descending from them. When he returned to Udupi, he would sometimes bathe in the ocean. On such an occasion, he composed a prayer in 5 chapters. Once, while sitting beside the sea, engrossed in meditation on Krishna, he saw, and this is the story about the boat, he saw that a large boat containing goods for Dwarka was in danger. He gave some signs by which the boat could approach the shore, that is, I guess, come this way or that way. And it was saved. The owners of the boat wanted to give him a present, and at the time, Madhvacharya agreed to take some Gopi Chandan. He received a big lump, and while it was being carried to him, it broke, and then it revealed the large deity. Each time you read something else, it gives a little more detail and another angle. The deity had a stick in one hand and a lump of food in another. As soon as Madhvacharya received the deity in this way, he composed a prayer. It was so heavy that even 30 people would take, not even 30 people could lift it. But he personally brought this deity to Udupi. And then he says, just like Gurudev said, he had eight disciples who took sannyas from him and became the directors of his 8 monasteries. And worship of that Krishna is still going on there in Udupi. He then, for the second time, visited Bhadak Ashram. While he was passing through Maharashtra, the local king was digging a big lake for the public benefit. As Madhvacharya passed through the area with his disciples, he was also obliged to help with the excavation. After some time, he visited the king, and he engaged the king in that work and departed with his disciples. Often in the province of Ganga Pradesh, there were fights between the Hindus and the Muslims, even back then. So the Hindus were on the bank of the river, one bank, and the Muslims were on another bank. So due to the community tension, no boat was available for crossing the river. The Muslim soldiers were always stopping passengers from the other side. But Madhvacharya did not care for these soldiers. He crossed the river anyway, and when he met the soldiers on the other side, you know what he did? He was brought before the king, and the Muslim king, who was the same king, was so pleased with him that he wanted to give him a kingdom and some money. But Madhvacharya refused. While walking on the road, he was attacked by some dacoits, but by his bodily strength, he killed them all. He was like one of those Maharathis, 10,000 elephants. When his companion Satyatirtha was attacked by a tiger, Madhvacharya separated them by virtue of his great strength. When he met Vyasadeva, he received from him the Shalagram Shila, known as Astamurti. After this, as Murti said, he summarized the Mahabharata. His devotion to the Lord and his erudite scholarship became known throughout all of India. Consequently, the owners of that Sringeri Math, established by Sankaracharya, became perturbed. They were the ones who were defeated by him before, and they were now envious because he got so famous. So, they were afraid of his rising power, and they began to tease his disciples in many ways. There was even an attempt to prove that the disciplic succession from Madhvacharya was not according to Vedic principles. So then there's a person named Pundarik Puri, a follower of the Mayavad philosophy of Sankaracharya. He came before Madhvacharya to discuss the Shastras. So it is said that all of Madhvacharya's books were taken away. They stole them. But later they were found with the help of King Jaya Singh, the ruler of Kumla. In discussion, Pundarik Puri was defeated by Madhvacharya. A great personality named Trivikramacharya, who was the resident of Vishnu Mangal, became Madhvacharya's disciple. And his son later became Narayanacharya, the composer of Sri Madhva Vijay, glorification. So it was reputed that there was no limit. Did you want to say something? No limit to the strength of Purna Pragya, Madhvacharya. There was a person named Kadanjari who was famed for possessing the strength of 30 men. Madhvacharya placed the big toe of his foot upon the ground and asked that man to lift it, to separate it from the ground, just his toe. But the strong man could not do so even after great effort. Madhvacharya passed from the material world at the age of 80 while writing a commentary on the Aitareya Upanishad. It said if you want to know more about him, you can read that book, Madhvacarya by Narayana-acharya. So then it lists his different centers and who are their mutt commanders. Prabhupada gets into so much detail all the time.
Is this from a lecture that Srila Prabhupada gave?
This is from
Prabhupada's commentary.
it's Prabhupada's purport from, yeah, it doesn't say what verse actually, but it's his purport.
When Prabhupada's translating the portion about
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Right. So I think this next quote is from Gurudev's Prabandha Panchami, which is the 5 essays defeating the those who were against Mahaprabhu's line. Okay. Objection. While touring South India, Mahaprabhu went to Udupi. There he had a discussion with the Tattvavadi Acharya, who was in the Madhvacarya Sampradaya. Mahaprabhu refuted the views of the Tattvavadis, so he can never be included in the Madhvacarya Sampradaya. So then Gurudev's refutation. Sriman Mahaprabhuji did not directly refute Madhva's ideas about Shuddha Bhakti. Rather, he refuted the distorted opinions of the Tattvavadis which had entered into the Madhvacarya Sampradaya in the course of time. Just like we were reading the other day about Advaitacharya, that he had 6 sons, 3 were bona fide followers, and 3, by the will of the Lord, deviated. So readers can understand this simply by looking at this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Majjhima 9, 276 to 277. And we're so lucky to have Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here's what the CC says. Karmis and Gyanis are devoid of devotion, and it is seen that both of these are respected in your sampradaya. Still, in your sampradaya, there's one great quality. The form of Bhagavan, or Sri Vigraha, has been accepted. Not only this, but Sri Vigraha has also been accepted as Prajendranandan, Krishna himself. He is worshipped in your sampradaya in the form of Nritya Gopal. So this proves that Mahaprabhu refuted the distortions that later entered, but not Madhvacharya. On the contrary, as we have already shown that the literatures such as Tattva Sandarbha and Sarva Samvadini, which I think is Jiva Goswami wrote the Sandarbhas, and then he wrote a commentary on the Sandarbhas, and his own Sandarbha, because it's so hard to understand. I think that's called Sarva Samvadini. So they have been based on the conclusions of Madhva and his disciples and grand-disciples. In this connection, we should point out that a difference of sampradaya does not generally arise from some minor difference of opinion. Rather, the difference between sampradaya comes from the differences of theory about the principal object of worship. So all this is coming from our Param Gurudev, his life and teachings, that biography. That thing with the objections and the refutation. Because there was this whole chapter in there of all about Baladev Vijayabhusan being in the line of Madhvacharya, and at the same time being the Acharya in our Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this is all in note 3, which are a historical thing. This is also from Param Gurudev's biography. Of the 4 Sampradaya Acharyas, only Madhvacharya is celebrated by the name of Tattvavadi. Since Jiva Goswami has personally established Tattvavad, the Vaishnavas of the Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya are therefore Tattvavadis in the real sense. In the third slok of the Mangalacharana of Tattva Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami glorifies his guru, Rupa Goswami, and Param Guru, Sanatana Goswami, as Tattva Pakal, or Tattvagya Pakal, which means the acharyas proclaim tattva. Similarly, the crown of the dynasty of Vaishnavacharyas, Sri Baladev Vijayabhushan Prabhu, has also designated Sri Rupa and Sanatan as Tattvavid Uttamau, the highest of the knowers of tattva. Okay, who's going to say them? What did Jiva Goswami, how did he glorify Rupa and Sanatan? As what? Tattvagya Pakal, meaning the acharyas who proclaim tattva. And what did Baladev Vijayabhushan say about Rupa Goswami? That he's what? Tattvavid Uttamau, the highest of all knowers of tattva. It is clear that Jiva Goswami has offered respect to Sri Madhva. It's a good thing that we're here at the program today, following our line. And that Baladev Vijayabhushan has followed Jiva Goswami in honoring him. If we compare Jiva and Baladev, we find that Baladev has glorified the two Goswamis, Rupa and Sanatan, more than Jiva has. There is no doubt whatsoever that Sri Baladev is situated in our Sampradaya. That's what this is all about. Because they say, oh, he's only connected with the Madhva Sampradaya. But he saved our Sampradaya by reestablishing Radharani on the altar, giving evidence why she should be there, how she's higher than these so-called religious consorts like Satyabhama, because Krishna can say to Satyabhama, get out of my palace. But Radha can say to Krishna, get out of my kunj. And he has to bow down to her. So, there's no doubt whatsoever that Baladev Vijayabhushan he's the 9th generation from Nityananda Prabhu, according to Bhagavad Parampara, and the 8th generation according to Pancharatra Parampara. Nityananda, Gauridas Pandit, Hridai Chaitanya, Shyamananda, Rasikananda, Nayanananda, Radha Damodar, he's in that line. He's in that line. Because Radha Damodar, then comes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and then Baladev is his Shiksha disciple. He's the initiated disciple of Damodar, and also the most prominent Shiksha disciple of Vishwanath. So more about that. Dupati Prabhu, did you want to say something?
Regarding the story that Dr. Prabhu mentioned,
Yeah.
I found that description that
Good. It's he himself. We were just talking about you for the last hour, and now you came.
I heard you say. But then the thing cut out after 7 minutes.
What?
Here's what happens when it cuts out. It doesn't go back on, and everybody leaves. So when it first came on, there was like 1 or 2, and now it goes back to 5. Just recently. So whenever that thing goes out, it doesn't.
What are we going to do about that in Dupati?
They
Can we get a
rebroadcast,
new one?
but it takes a long time to come, even though he
Battery was flat. That's we can charge it up.
Does it usually happen like that?
Yeah.
Sometimes
It goes out
said
for
it
one
usually
time.
happens.
What he means is when it goes off, they don't see it come back on.
It doesn't come back.
But
But I
You're
turn
saying
it
it's
back
just-
on as soon as I can get it back on.
But you can't see it. Because
No, I went on Facebook myself. I went to search. I searched for Streams of Nectar. I went to the Streams of Nectar page. I scrolled down until I saw the live feed.
Okay, so here's the thing, it may be different for every person.
No, if it's streaming and you go to their page, Streams of Nectar page, and you scroll down the page, you will see the live feed. You may not see it on your own feed because the way that Facebook decides what comes on any given person's feed is a very complex algorithm.
That's exactly what
You can't look on your own page for it. You have to specifically search and go to the Streams of Nectar page, which has all the previous videos and a whole bunch of stuff.
I think what he's saying is people don't have that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I don't know if that's true, but because I've done it a few
Okay, I
times.
challenge anyone right now to go to Facebook,
It's on
search
now.
for the page,
It's on
and,
now.
and say that it's
It's on
not
now.
there.
But is there any way, I guess the solution is there any way that it doesn't go off?
Well, that's like saying, is there any way my car won't break down? If you can find me such a car, I want one.
Here's what he's not listening, and what
Yeah.
I'm trying to explain is, the reason I'm thinking this is what happens is because when it goes off and it immediately goes on, at least on his, then when you check, it's only one or two. It'll be 4 or 5, and then it'll go down to 1 or 2, and it'll take a long time before it goes back to like 5. So I'm thinking either they don't know it's back on or they can't find it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking they can't find it.
They don't have
I
the
think it's
wherewithal.
because I can't find it. I looked everywhere. Once it goes off and I go back on, he says it's on. I can't find it.
Yeah, they don't have the wherewithal to know.
It's not that.
Most
I don't
people.
think it's on. I think it might
Yeah,
could be an algorithm.
yeah.
No, there's no
Can you
algorithm
save us?
involved in
Well,
that.
it's not
As
on.
soon as I press the
It's on
button
now, of course.
and it goes red on the front, you go to the Streams of Nectar page, it will be there. There's no question of that. I can guarantee that. I'll give anyone $100 who can prove me wrong.
Next time it does, it will have our phone.
I want to read this pastime.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would request the devotees, they can just, the ones who live here, forget to plug in this thing, the charge, that it's, charged at night when the devotee, whoever puts Thakurji to rest.
Prabhu, would you like to take charge of that?
Charging the camera.
Yeah, just make sure the
Would you like
camera
to take
is
charge
plugged
of the
into
charge?
the charger at night so that we can always make sure. Yeah.
It's going to be used a lot.
You could be the charger.
Just that every night if it's charged. Charge the charger.
Just help them fund it,
You could be the charger.
Charge the charger. Okay, there's one devotee called Kanakdas, and his guru, Vyasa Rajaru, advised him to perform a pilgrimage to the famous Udupi temple, which enshrined Lord Krishna in the form of a small child holding the buttermilk tuning stick. Kanakdas, on the advice of his guru, came to Udupi. A few caste Brahmin priests and attendants did not allow him to enter the main temple and turned him back.
beginning. Can you summarize that?
Yes, there was a devotee. His name was Kanakadas, and his guru advised him to go to Udupi and take darshan there. When he got there, the Brahmins didn't allow him in the temple because he wasn't of the proper caste. So they turned him away. Dejected and sad that he could not have the darshan of the Lord, Kanakadas sat behind the temple and started singing songs in praise of Lord Sri Krishna. He was completely lost, singing the glory of the Lord and pleading to him to shower his mercy and bless him with a vision of his beautiful face. He did not ask for any material or worldly pleasures. All he wanted was just to have darshan of the Lord. Suddenly, the earth trembled, and the western outer wall crumbled, and the slabs of stone in the inner wall of the sanctum sanctorum cracked open. The deity of Sri Krishna, which was originally facing east, turned around and faced Kanakadas, who was sitting behind the temple. Tears tumbled down the eyes of Kanakadas as he beheld the Lord, who was seemingly beaming at him. Even today, the deity in the sanctum faces west. The crack that appeared on the wall of the sanctum sanctorum has been replaced with a window, which is called Kanaka Kindi, and every devotee who visits the temple and behold the beautiful deity through this window. In the place where Kanakadas sat and sang his beautiful songs in praise of the Lord now stands a towering gopur called Kanaka Gopura and offers a direct view of the Lord's deity inside the sanctum. Devotees visit this place in memory of this great saint and witness the deity of Sri Krishna who has turned around away from the priests blinded by the distinctions of caste. His beautiful face is visible to all his dear devotees who have nothing but pure, unadulterated love and devotion for him.
Okay, so thank you. Holodoc, can you summarize that?
So there was a devotee who was instructed by his guru to go have darshan of Bala Gopa, or this Gopalji, who's holding the Bala stick in Udupi. So as he went there were very strict Brahmins following all the rules, regulations, and they somehow or another proved that, oh, you cannot come into this temple because of this, that, and the third reason.
You're not the caste. You're out of
Right, they were
caste.
Yes. So singing the songs, I was praying to have a darshan of that deity and nothing else, just to have a darshan. And at some point there was an earthquake and trembling on the west side of the temple. According to this, what in the
Well, that wasn't an earthquake, but the sound.
Sound like an earthquake.
Sounded like an earthquake. Yes, that's what I heard there. That the wall cracked and there was just enough space to have a darshan of that deity. And from that day on, then what I heard in Udupi is they rebuilt the whole temple on the other side. So all the service, all the days, everything shift to the other side because they did not want to turn Babaji back around. So everything, the way temple was built, suddenly was built the other way around. And
as far as I know, that wall is that wall with the there's the outside wall and the inside wall. So when you go inside the temple, like you took darshan, so that was where that must have been where it was originally the back of the temple, right? And then the other side, but the other side is on the other side of the wall is like the outside wall right now. Because you can actually go to that place which is behind. And see through the window. You can actually, I'm not sure if you can see through the window the back of the deity.
Murti Prabhu is leading anyone who wants to go with him.
There's probably YouTube videos of it.
Oh, YouTube videos, sure.
Darshan,
of course.
Right.
Thank you both.
There's one story when I was there.
Yeah, wait, first take the mic. Thank you, Holodoc.
yeah.
Thanks for inspiring that beautiful guitar.
The Padayatra went there in was 85, and we were there for a week, and I think I stayed another week afterward. So during that time, I was taking some pictures, which was totally against every time you break your camera out. Of course, now there's cell phones and everything. This is back way before that. They would do just like this. You're not allowed to take pictures. You're a Westerner. They still have that consciousness. It's very prevalent there, but they're very friendly to the ISKCON devotees and Westerners, but they don't want anything like that taking pictures of the deities. So I snuck a few, actually quite a few different days, and they all, none of them came out. And so I thought, oh boy, they have some power, and they were all blurred everything. Krishna didn't want that. So sometimes the Lord has desires also that he, and that is desired to send through his pujaris, and that's all. I just was going to say.
Thank you. And here that's confirmed also. Yeah, so it's a merciful deity. Interesting. So while so he said this also, Srila Bharati Maharaj is saying the same thing as you're all saying, that there's one unique feature about the temple. Sri Gopal is not put to rest by closing the temple door. The window of the deity room always remains open so that anyone can have darshan of the deity at any time. So he keeps allowing photos and all kinds of things.
Oh, I don't know if they allow it. That's why I was thinking they don't.
Not allowed, but it happened. The deity allowed it.
Yeah, they do.
That's what I meant.
They make you take your shirt off as well.
Oh.
Men. At least in the morning they do. Because that's a rule in South India that you shouldn't pay obeisances with a shirt on. In fact, there's a description of that in Chaitanya Charitamrita because when the devotees were going to see Mahaprabhu from Navadvip to Puri one year, and then Nityananda Prabhu kicked Shivananda Sain, and Shivananda Sain's son, was it his sons? Yeah. One of them became very upset, and he left and went ahead. He was going to go and complain to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when he came in to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he paid his obeisances, it's described that he didn't take his coat off. Whatever coat wasn't made by coat. But then, so Govinda, Mahaprabhu's servant, told him to take your coat off before you pay obeisances. And Prabhupada in the purport says, he quotes a shloka that says, if you pay your obeisances with your shirt on, you have to become a leper for 7 births. But Mahaprabhu said, no, don't bother him, he's upset. So if someone is upset and you try to tell them to follow some rule, it doesn't work. You have to wait till they're peaceful and happy, and then you can explain the rule to them.
So wait, does that mean it excuses them if they're upset when they don't become a leper?
Or does it mean that all of the Westerners that's their next birth?
Yeah, we're all going to become lepers.
Right.
Many times over. Every time we pay basis, it's another 7 births as a leper.
What is the temple? Is the temple room out here, or is it in, what is the definition?
Exactly.
Exactly. In Udupi, it must be the outer. One thing about the Udupi temples, they always have different dresses. It's amazing. They really
take good care.
Well, according to
not even the shirt, is anything that is stitched. Any cloth that you wear that is stitched is going under that category. So you cannot wear anything with the stitches in deity service.
So is it like that for everybody? Like now still in Udupi? Like you have to.
Well, I understand that in the morning they enforce it in darshan in the morning. I remember going
like first darshan.
Yeah, but in the evening time, I don't think they enforce it.
So if you go in the winter, it's sort of austere. It never gets cold there.
Yeah,
well, maybe at that time period, there was some, there's like about purity. Like I know, like the way I've heard things about Jagannath also. Like all the ingredients are very pure. It's all made from natural elements, no factory garbage stuff. So
Pundarik Vidyanidhi was even upset that they were offering starched garments because he thought that was against the rules. That same Prabhupada rule says don't offer starched garments to the deity, and they were doing it. So he was like, well, why aren't they following the rules? But then he got slapped for thinking in his mind that they were following improperly.
That was just in his mind. Well, that's amazing.
No, he spoke it to Ramananda Roy.
Thank you.
I think that he wants to do arti.
So we're lucky we have the Harinam. Before arti starts, I just have one quick from Srila Bharati Maharaj, quick child pastime. As a 5-year-old, he proclaimed to his father, I will refute the philosophy of Sankaracharya. His father was elderly and used to carry a walking stick. He said, Sankaracharya is Lord Shankara himself, and if you are indeed to refute his philosophy, then the stick I am holding will turn into a fruit-bearing tree. Straight away, Vasudeva planted that stick into the earth, pronouncing, O stick, if I can refute Sankara's philosophy, then immediately become a fruit-bearing tree. Vasudeva's words came to pass as the stick instantly grew into an aswata tree, a sacred fig tree, and bore fruits. Seeing this, his father was astounded and convinced that indeed his son was not an ordinary personality. So it's arti time now. Shri Madhvacarya ki jai. Shri Madhvacarya Tirubhavtiti Mahamahotsav ki jai. Go Premanandi.
Same time tomorrow.
Same time tomorrow, Ramanujacharya. Shri Radha Govinda ki jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan Ki Jai.
Jai.
She's pretty busy doing kid stuff, but she likes to read. She went to India, right? She went to Puri. Yeah, so I've just been with the kids and doing the clinic and, just trying to experience her world a little bit more. It's good. It's teaching me to be really regulated. It took about a week to figure out the routine with the kids, but now that I got it, it's pretty good and I feel pretty good about it.
I want to see, what I want to do is go over to see on a different iPhone.
Yeah.
And see, well, I wanted to see how important this person is.
Yashomati Nandana Brajavaranagara Yashomati Nandana Brajavaranagara Gokula Ranjanagana Gokula Ranjanagana Gokula Ranjanagana Gokula Rakawala